Hi, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Wow. Hey, campers, I'm going to tell you about divorce in the Philippines and all of the bullshit that's going on out there. The fact of some channels got it right, some channels, there is no law yet. In fact, the House and Senate haven't even presented a unified bill yet. However, with that being said, let's talk about it because for many of you, it is a big deal.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Now, in case you didn't know, there were a few circumstances under which you could get a divorce in the past. Very few. However, they weren't standard. Nobody hardly qualified. You had to go get an annulment. An annulment takes years and years and years and costs a lot of money. So theoretically, the whole idea here is that the Philippines is going to provide what's called absolute divorce. That absolute divorce is something new for the Philippines. Now, the House and the Senate both have draft measures put together, and they'll need to combine those or agree or do whatever to get them to the president to sign into law. Now, with that being said, let me tell you, expats, it can get ugly for you. Let's take a look at just some of the language in the most recent House panel approval. All right, so who qualifies? Number one, when a spouse has been separated de facto by at least 5 years. And what that means is there is no legal separation that has been filed. They've been gone for 5 years, or de facto. Not quite sure how you're going to define that. It's not in the definitions of the document. And I'm going to include below links to the House document, links to the Senate document, and link to the newspaper clippings if you want as well. Okay, now, when one of the spouses has contracted a bigamous marriage, or when the spouses have been legally separated by judicial decree for 2 years or more. Now, that's kind of difficult to actually get for a Filipina because, quite frankly, they don't want to pay for that stuff. So the guy bolts or the girl bolts and they never get a legal separation. But if you can show that they've been gone for 5 years, you can file for a divorce. Now we start to get to the parts of the expat portion. The conjugal partnership of gains, all right, between of the absolute community shall be dissolved and liquidated, and the assets shall be equally divided. So if you spent $40,000 or $100,000 or $300,000 building that house, that has to be, unless you can come up with something the court's going to abide by or be okay with, that has to be liquidated, and she's going to get half. Half. Oh, I can hear it. It's just like being in the U.S., huh? Half. Half. I want half. I love you, but I want half. Yeah. All right. Now, the Philippines does have a couple of other laws or a couple of other issues that have to be taken into account, and that goes along with the minors that are born or adopted and when, and the fact that they have inheritance rights. So Just saying, these entire documents are 20 pages each. And these are just some snippets of the time bombs that are in there. All right. Now, one of the things that is nice is that anything you came into the marriage with is yours. But that also can be pretty fucked up, because let's say she has a nipa hut on her parents' land and you built that out. Well, that nipa hut, that land, the value of whatever it was, you don't get any credit for. And the only way to resolve that is going to be to liquidate it. And when you go to liquidate that, I think there's going to be some issues, because if there are children involved, you think the judge is going to let that child be homeless? I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see. All right? All these things go down the line. And like I said, there's stuff in here that we just don't have an answer for. And it's not clear. So, let's move to the next one. Guys, guess what? Philippines has alimony now, if this passes in its current structure. Yes, indeed, alimony. All right? And it says, in addition to equal share in the assets of the absolute community or conjugal partnership, the petitioner who is not gainfully employed shall be entitled to spousal support or alimony from the respondent, all right, until the petitioner finds adequate employment, provided that the support shall not exceed 2 years from the finality. Now, child support has always existed, or has existed for many, many, many years here. Okay? But tied to this is not just child support, but now alimony. And there are fines in here. And the minimum fine is 100,000 pesos. Up to 300,000 pesos is the fine, plus the amount, plus penalties, which doesn't make sense, but if you read it, that's what it says. I'm not sure how you have a fine and penalties, but that's what it says. Now, look, like I said, I'm going to bring all of the links down below for you. Plug those in. That's all good and dandy. The first thing I would say is you need to read both of those. How is this going to happen? You know, one of the excuses that expats have been using for years, shady expats, okay? I can't marry you, honey. You're already married and you can't get a divorce. That may not be such a good excuse anymore, big boy. Issue number 2, are we going to weaponize divorce in the Philippines the same way it's weaponized in America? Now, I have no idea how it works in the UK or anywhere else, Australia, whatever. I have no idea. But divorce is highly weaponized in America. You know, if you don't have a prenup and you don't guard yourself, you're in trouble. Now, the other thing is we hear a lot about people saying prenups don't work here, prenups don't exist, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Not only have prenups been around for years and years and years, okay? Not only does every major actor, actress, star, and the mega $1 million multinational owners of businesses use prenups. Average people use prenups. Even Filipinos use prenups. Average Filipinos, not actors. All right? Not only that, in the bill that's currently being worked in, it recognizes and it specifically talks about prenups. They call them They don't call it a prenup here. They call it a marital agreement prior to the execution of marriage. So in other words, you have to have this signed and in place prior to the marriage. What can I say? Hey, look, we're going to ask you, number one, do you think you're going to weaponize divorce? You think it's going to make a difference to some of these guys that are coming over? You think it'll make any difference to some of the guys that are already here? Okay. And finally, did you enjoy this? Was it informative? Please let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, please also consider subscribing and hitting that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Have a great day.